first one, but I'd say it's going to be tough. If there was a lot of interest, it would probably already be on YouTube. But, you know, if you just find that certain videos do a lot better in your niche, and maybe it's like newsy videos or something, you don't have to follow those views. Like, you could grow your channel a little bit slower with the kinds of videos you really like doing, especially if they're getting some traction. And then the algorithm will kind of learn that. And I think there's a big danger in training the algorithm to promote videos that you don't like to make. So it's a balance. You definitely want to listen to your audience and make content that they appreciate and adjust the content you like to make so that they like it better. But figure out what ways you can do that still work for you. Don't just go to making content you hate, because that's not sustainable. You might as well have a day job you hate. Yeah, so think about like with the format. You know, maybe you like a different topic, but there's a format your audience would find more engaging. Or maybe vice versa. Maybe there's a format you don't love to do, but you could pivot the topic a little bit to something that you all like.
Definitely. Yeah, I really like that. Just for everyone who's jumping on out, it looks like we may have had a little bit of an issue getting the stream started. So if you're just joining in, that's great. We're glad to have you here. Sorry for the delay. If you have somehow been listening, then great also. So we are excited to have everybody here this morning. We have some great questions that we're going to go over that some of you pre-submitted, and then any questions that everyone has today, feel free to throw them into the chat box. Also, we'd love to know where you are at with your channel. Write us a little message in the chat. We are going to be reading all of them, where you can just let us know how things are going for you, where your channel's at. Are you monetized, not monetized? Are you brand new to this? Let us know. We'd love to hear kind of how your channel is doing and how we can better help you. So glad to have everyone here. Other questions? We have a couple more from the community post yesterday that we can go over. So let's take a look at some more of those.
Also, someone mentioned A/B testing.
Yes.
We have the beta. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yes, we are definitely going to be talking about that.
Yeah.
Okay, another great question here. This is from Bad Dog Creative. The question is rebranding/renaming a channel. Why and when it makes sense, and the effects on the audience/reach/algorithm placement. Is it better to start a fresh channel? When is that the right case? If a channel is big, is it a no? If a channel is small, does it not really matter? Anyway, they just talk about how they started a homesteading niche, or in the homesteading niche, but then realized that they really liked doing some woodworking videos and kind of want to pivot the channel. So, any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Oh, that's kind of a tough one, because I was gonna say, well, what's the niche? And for anybody else, like if you're pivoting to a totally different niche and you think that niche is very different from what you used to do, then usually start a new or unlist all your old videos at least. If it's just a brand name thing, like if you just hate the brand name but you're not really changing the niche or the topic, then just change the brand name and it's gonna be fine. And I would say do that sooner rather than later, because otherwise you'll wish you did. In this case, it's kind of an in-between. Like, well, homesteading people could like woodworking for sure. Those are often the same kinds of people with the same interests, but not always.
Yeah.
I would probably treat that as a pivot where you would unlist your older videos. And another misconception I think on this is the size of the channel. I think people think, well, if you have a really big channel, then you should definitely keep all the old videos or not make a new channel. You don't have to make a new channel, but unlisting the old videos is pretty necessary. In fact, I'd say more necessary the bigger the channel.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on like the woodworking and homesteading? Do you think that's worth enlisting all the old videos?
Well, here's the thing. What would make most sense to me is if you are going to go from creating a very wide type of video content. I think homesteading is a great niche. There's a very wide variety of content that could be created there. If you created some woodworking videos as part of that, but now you're realizing that that's the type of videos that are doing the best and you really like creating those videos, I would say that the old videos just aren't going to serve you anymore. If people happen to find those old videos, they're going to get and then they subscribe, but then realize your new content isn't what the old content was. It probably is just better to unlist them. It's probably not necessary. I don't think like it's going to make or break the success of the pivot. but they're just not going to serve you anymore. I just think that it would be better to have, maybe whatever your 5 or 10 woodworking videos, get rid of all the other videos, just so that your channel looks like a woodworking channel at that point. That's probably what I would do, even though it is extremely painful to remove old videos from the channel. Many of you are quite aware we're going kind of pivoting this channel. We've done quite a few things to be working on that, and we're tracking everything. We are just keeping track of everything that we do so that we can let you all know what that pivot has looked like for us and the impact that it has. We are actually seeing some really cool things that we're excited to share. We're not quite ready to share all of it yet, but the pivot is going really well. So
yeah,
pretty cool.
It's surprising. We're learning so much about pivoting,
yes,
which is great because that's a question we get all the time. That's something I'm dealing with on my personal channel right now. Like, it's common. You're probably going to want to pivot to some degree during the lifetime of your channel, and it's such a it depends question because everyone's pivot is a different degree of changing what they're doing. So
yeah. All right, let's look at some comments here. We have Brandon left a comment from Brandon's Recovery. Here waiting, can't wait to be hear this. We're glad to have you, Brandon. Of course, Diabetic Game Guy, always a pleasure to see you around. Sarah, glad to have you. Urban Harvest, big thumbs up to you. Board Game Officer, hello.
Just past 1K.
Yeah, that's
nice
pretty awesome. Well done. That's super, super exciting. What a great milestone.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see. Any other questions here? Diabetic Game Guy asks, how many hours do your editors spend editing each video? I think it depends really per channel. I know for the Channel Makers YouTube channel, it's a little heavier on the editing side.
Usually 15 to 20 hours.
Yeah.
They can do it so much faster than that if we are in a time crunch. I mean, they could edit a video in, I don't think we ever had to do it in less than 4, but they could. And we have done some in just a few hours, but they like to spend 15 to 20. And it's kind of cool because depending on our production schedule and how things are going, they often will just like spend whatever extra time they have. If they feel like they have extra time, there's always more they can do to the edit because they're very creative, and it's like the time is a limiting factor, not their creativity. But we have also noticed that some of those videos that had 3-4 hour edits, like you edited one, it was like the best performing one because of the topic last year. So just don't think that you have to do 15 to 20 hours just because our editors do that. It does add to the videos, but it's not necessary to succeed.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the editing, like you said, it's really an art, and I think that's the way I know Cody and Andrea, our editors, both treat it that way. It's very much I think like trimming the video, getting it all cut down, getting a rough cut done. I don't think that that's the time consuming part necessarily. It's all the extras that go into the video, It's the little animations or the sound effects or all the little extra things that you honestly could just spend infinite amount of time on. I know for my personal channel, for more like educational videos where it's maybe talking head with some B-roll, that's probably like a 2 to 3 hour edit for me. And then a more involved storytelling edit, I think I've spent 10 to 20 hours on some of those. So it definitely depends. But what I like to try and do is figure out what's like the minimum that I can spend on an edit to where I feel good about it. And then maybe if I can bear another hour, I'll like spend a specific amount of time adding in those extras that I'm excited about.
I like that.
Just so that, because I know some of you are saying here, like, editing is taking up so much time. It's so hard to make, even if you can get a video filmed in a day or, just every, an hour here, an hour there, the edits can be just brutal. So figure out figure out what the least amount of work you can put into an edit, and then just improve upon it to the point where you feel good about it. Because like Julia said, some of our better performing videos are videos that have been less edited. Yeah,
I like to think too about the goals of editing. So like, sometimes we don't have a super engaging intro. Like we planned it out, but it just wasn't as captivating as we expected. And the editors can do a lot to make up that difference.
So true.
But think about your goals with your videos. Like rarely is the goal that you need better edits. It can help, but think in terms of, do you need a more engaging intro? Do you need more visuals? Well, if you need more visuals, you could put more titles, you could put more things in post during the edit on the screen, but maybe you could have a whiteboard or some other visual way to show the point you're trying to make,
right,
or show the adventure you went on, or something like that, where you can actually achieve the goal you're trying to do with something outside of the edit, and then you need to spend less time on the edit.
Definitely. Board Game Officer says, I used to spend hours on editing, then I bought Recut, which just cuts out the silences. That took hours off of my editing. I've never actually tried that.
That's cool.
Kind of cool. I know that Cody, which editor does he use? Do you remember? I think Andrew uses Final Cut.
He uses...
It's the Adobe one.
Yeah,
he
Premiere.
Uses, Premiere. And I know that they have like a text-based editor where you can edit based on the text, which I've never actually used, but seems kind of cool. I'd be interested to know if any of you have ever used that. Yeah. Jason the Artist says, what do you guys think about building an audience up to monetization using YouTube Shorts, then pivoting into long-form content with the same said audience?
Take this one, Nick.
Yeah, I'll talk about this one. That's actually a really good question, Jason. I'm actually testing that on a Shorts channel right now. We actually just passed 1,000 subscribers, so we got up to the 1,000 subscriber mark. Now, of course, the watch time on Shorts does not count, and so I'm not like fully committed to 100% pivoting to the long form, and the reason for that is I have a long form channel where I've been gaining watch hours and subscribers just a little bit more slowly. So I do think that eventually it's very likely that we do pivot to long form there, just because we already hit that 1,000 subscriber milestone, and we're still waiting on the long form channel to hit the 1,000 subscriber milestone. I guess the question that's in my mind is, how are those Shorts viewers, if at all, are they going to watch the long form content? Is the Shorts content that I've been creating close enough to what the long form will be that there's still interest there? I know that before I split out the Shorts and the long form from each other, which I don't think is necessary in every case, but we did. Before we did that, we had gained quite a few Short subscribers, but they just weren't watching the long form. And so there was a little bit of an issue there. So I do think it'd have to be a complete pivot. Grow the subscribers using Shorts to whatever number you want it to be, 1,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever, because you definitely can grow a channel faster subscriber-wise with Shorts, but then make a full pivot. Get rid of all the Shorts off the channel and then go just heavy into the long form. I don't know if there's going to be a ton of benefit. I guess if you got an audience of like 50,000 Short subscribers, I guess a small percentage of those are pretty much guaranteed to watch some of your long form content. There's a creator out there named Jenny Hoyos, who's one of the kind of most famous Shorts creators on YouTube. And she posts majority Shorts content. I think she's just around 2 million subs. But she does I think she's posted like 6 to 10 long form videos, and they do well. They get hundreds of thousands of views, but not 20 or 30 or 40 million views like her Shorts do. So it's definitely something I'm very interested to see. It's just a test. I don't know if it's going to be totally beneficial, or if it would just be better to kind of get grind on the main channel. But I'll let you guys know. I'll let you guys know what I end up doing. I think it would be very interesting to see if that could be a reliable strategy, especially to get to the 1,000 subs, and then go hard on the long form content to get your watch time. Very interesting question, though.
Yeah. Okay, how about this one? Your opinion about upcoming multi-language audio feature. How much will it help non-English channels to reach new audiences versus English subtitles?
Yeah, I think it's a cool feature. This is something that a lot of creators, large creators especially, they've always dubbed their content into other languages and done other things so that they can gain more of a worldwide audience. So the fact that YouTube's going to be adding this sort of feature in, I think, is good. How it will impact, I don't really know. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet a ton. One thing that I have noticed is I was watching a Mr. Beast video recently, and I did notice that in the comments, it was like majority another language. I don't know what the language was, and so that is an interesting thing that I don't know if YouTube's kind of working out. But like, I went to the comments to see what people's responses were, and I couldn't read any of the comments. And so I don't know if that is like, since now Mr. Beast doesn't have to dub his videos into 25 different languages, everyone's coming to his one channel where they can watch it in their own language or have the subtitles, and then they're commenting in their own language. As someone who doesn't speak every language in the world, it wasn't as good of an experience for me in the comments. So I imagine YouTube will work something out there, but that's really the only interaction I've had with any sort of thing like that. So I'm not sure what it'll look like. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't imagine it affecting the algorithm a lot. And in fact, I know this would be extra work for you, but if I were making a channel in another non-English speaking language, I would almost hope that this feature doesn't come out, because you can stand out so well if you just manually add the subtitles yourself.
Right.
Especially if you're one of the few channels that's doing that extra step, it can make a big difference. So, yeah, do it on your own if you have time, for sure. Okay. Let's see.
Here's a question. Enderizado, I apologize if I said that wrong, says, when I post a long video, I'm assuming, would posting a short affect my long? I think it can. I would just say give each video some space to grow. Give it some time. I wouldn't post a long form video and then post a short on the same channel an hour after. I've definitely seen where YouTube seems to like to test one video with an audience, and then if I put out a second video too soon, it doesn't seem to work as well. There was a point where I was posting, I think, 2 shorts a day on a channel, maybe 3 sometimes, and we try and space them like 6 hours apart. That seemed to work on the short side. As far as long form though, I know that like in the first 24 to 36 hours, your long form, will be shown to potentially different audiences. YouTube doesn't always just immediately show it to an audience. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. So you just don't want to cut the legs out from the first video. If you post your first video, you see it get a lot of impressions. Maybe you get a lot of views along with that, or maybe you don't. Maybe at that point, if it kind of levels, if the impressions level out, maybe at that point you could post one, kind of being certain that YouTube's already tested it with the primary audience. So I would just make sure that you don't go one right after another. Eventually, YouTube says they're always testing videos, so I think eventually it would be fine. I also have posted videos where, I post a video one day, the next day I post a video. The video from the first day had started taking off late, and that impacted the growth of the second video, but then that video also just took off late. So I think in the end it'll probably all be okay. I think each video will get its opportunity, but I know it can be really disappointing to post a second video, have the legs cut out under the first immediately. So just be a little careful there.
Yeah. Okay, storytelling. I want to know about how to include storytelling in our script. What does exactly mean by storytelling? Another thing we've been kind of rehashing lately, because it depends so much on your channel. Like, there's so many books on storytelling, and some of them are about screenwriting and novels, and even the ones on YouTube often, or YouTube videos about this, I think are often too narrow to help people in a variety of niches. So we're kind of trying to figure out different formats depending on your content format. So if you're vlogging, the storytelling process is going to look so different than if you have an educational channel.
Right.
There's a million ways it could go. Maybe not a million. We'll probably narrow it down to 3 to 5. A few quick tips I would say is you want some kind of struggle if possible, and that doesn't have to be like a dramatic fake struggle, but if you are teaching something, you might show the process of your transformation, and this could be so brief, like this could happen in 10 seconds or less, but you could say, look, I used to have this problem with woodworking, it was so frustrating, and then I searched and searched and I couldn't find an answer because nobody had addressed it, and then finally I discovered that by trial and error that this thing worked to solve my question, or finally I found this other creator that answered my question. So you are showing that you were in one beginning state, there was a transformation and a final state, and that can happen in 5 seconds, or it could take place over the entire video. That's something that could also work for a vlog style channel. And side stories are good too. They're hard to implement, but if you can have the main topic of the video and then kind of a side story that interrupts midway through and kind of ties into the main plot but keeps things fresh, that's another great tactic that can work for pretty much any type of content. It's just going to look different. I'd say that's more advanced, so don't stress yourself out, but if you see an opportunity to do that, that's a great one. What else? And just recording the journey. Like, even if you don't think there was a huge journey that happened, it's not necessarily a huge adventure, but record what happened as you're researching this video, planning this video, what happened in your own journey, maybe before you even had the video idea, when you learned this thing or discovered this thing, and share that with the audience. Some principles.
I think that it can be a lot more subtle than you think it needs to be. We were just talking yesterday, doing some video planning, and the meeting had probably been going for an hour and a half, just talking through some ideas and that sort of thing. And then I think I said something that spurred an idea that you had. You're like, oh, we should test this one thing. I think that would be really awesome. And we talked about it for about a minute or two, and we came up with this really kind of exciting plan that got us both really excited. And right after we talked about it, I was like, oh man, we should have recorded that. And it's just like a little bit of that story, so that we could just do the video and say we tested this really cool thing, and that could have been the video. Or we could tell a little bit of the background and say, hey, we were in this planning meeting, and it was not even about this one thing, but we happened to say something that spurred on this decision. Anyway, it's just like a little bit of background, and like you said, it could take 5 seconds. It doesn't have to be like a minute and a half montage of us doing the different things and B-roll. It could be that, but it doesn't have to. I think it really just depends on the style of channel that you have and what your audience expects from you.
And in that case, we don't want it to be fake. We don't want to go back and like act out the scene. So we're just going to get some B-roll of us in a meeting, and then we are going to do a voiceover telling that story very briefly. Probably. The video hasn't been made yet, but that's
that's most likely what it will look like. But it could look different, and I think that's the cool thing, is it's okay if it looks a little bit different. There's no really right or wrong way. It's just the story can just help engage the audience just a little bit more. If we did a really cool case study, or we ran this really extensive test, that's something that will draw an audience. People like to see that, especially in the YouTube education space. People like to see things tested, and so a lot of times we pull on that. But what also keeps people engaged in the video is going to be that storyline. It's just that's something that's kind of innate within humans to like that sort of thing. And so it's just another string that you can pull to help people stay really engaged in your content.
Yeah, one more thing, this just keeps giving me ideas. You need to always have something that they're waiting for. And this is tricky because you can't just be a tease the whole video. You can't start the video saying, I'm going to tell you this one quick tip, and then make them wait the whole video, or say, stick around to the end. That's not going to work. What you can do is provide value through the whole video, and either you're providing other value before you get to the main point. So maybe that title and thumbnail allude to one thing you're giving them, but you still don't give them that until the very end of the video, but you give them value along the way. Or you can answer their first initial question that causes them to click in the first even 30 seconds, but then immediately put another question in their mind or something else that they are going to want the answer to. And like this could be for education, or even a story of a vlog or something. The answer to what happens next, a side story, a news story, things like that. Mr. Beast does that really well. Also with the A/B testing, so we can't tell you what we were so excited about in that meeting to test out, but we would love to know if you guys have any ideas for what you'd like to see us test.
Yes.
We are listening because we're wanting to just test everything.
Yeah. This is the A/B tester. Maybe we can just talk a little bit about it.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to share too many details at this point. Like Julia said, we're still doing some initial testing. If you guys have ideas for what you'd like to see tested, definitely throw those into the chat. We have an extensive list that we've been building, but we definitely want to hear your ideas as well. So I guess initially, so we got access to the A/B tester, and it's been pretty awesome to see. This has been a feature that YouTube has kind of been teasing us with for years now. I know that ever since I joined the YouTube scene a couple of years ago, YouTube has been talking about, this cool A/B tester. And I know that there have been other versions from other people. Like TubeBuddy has an A/B tester, but I'm really excited to see this one just completely integrated in the YouTube system. So anyway, I guess as it stands, it is an ABC tester. They've taken a really interesting approach to how they're testing what the best thumbnail is. We actually are going to do a complete walkthrough here pretty soon for the Channel Makers Insiders. So if any of you are interested in seeing kind of a complete walkthrough, we'll probably show some of the tests that we've run at that point. We have that planned out. So go sign up to be a Channel Makers Insider. It's completely free. You can just be a part of that, and then you'll be notified when I think that'll be a live stream that we do.
Yeah.
You can be notified for that. But anyway, it's just kind of been really fun to see. I'm excited to see it continue rolling out. Renee Ritchie, YouTube's liaison, in October at Vid Summit, kind of said they had just barely started rolling it out. It had been maybe rolled out to a few hundred or a few thousand people at that point, and so they were just going to continue expanding the groups. So maybe 20,000 people would get it, then 50,000, then 100,000. So I don't know exactly where it's all at this point, how many people have it or how many people don't. I'd actually be interested to hear if any of you guys have it. It's possible that you do. But anyway, it's just going to continue to be rolled out. So exactly when that happens, nobody really knows, but we are definitely doing some testing so that by the time it rolls out widespread, we're hoping to be able to give you some really definitive answers on what the best types of things to test are, so that you don't have to waste your time testing things that just don't matter as much.
Yeah, definitely. It's opening up a whole new world.
Yeah, it totally
and we
is.
immediately want a title A/B tester. I don't know if that'll happen, but it would go well, because so often we have two ideas for different thumbnails, but they really shouldn't have the same title.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with that, but there's endless amount of stuff we can test.
Yeah. Shadow J Games says, "Good morning, everyone, channel makers, and everyone in the chat." Good morning to you too.
Yeah.
Glad to have you here. Jason says, "I'm in Japan and it is midnight over here." Jason, thanks for the dedication. Thanks for being here. Very cool. Very cool to have you here. Let's see. Yeah. Anything that's standing out to you in the chat, Julia?
Yeah. Question from Tryan Spikes. If I can find it again. Okay. Ever considered doing live stream channel reviews? I know there is a huge demand for that. I'm not asking for one. I'm just curious if you guys have ever entertained the idea.
Definitely.
Appreciate the feedback, because we love to hear what you guys want. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we have. Yeah, on the last live stream we did here on Channel Makers, I think I said earlier, it was like 5 or 6 months ago at this point, but we did thumbnail reviews. So it wasn't an entire channel review, but we did do thumbnail reviews and got quite a few people's thumbnails reviewed. So if you feel like you could learn from that, go check out, you can look at the, I guess, replay or whatever of that. But we have done some in the past for our Channel Makers Insiders. You can kind of sign up and then opt in for that if that's something you'd like. We haven't done one of those for a while, but I imagine we'll probably do some in the future. So there's another chance. But I love the idea of just hopping on here every now and then and looking at a couple channels.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of doing it live too. I wonder if that might be something to try with the Insiders.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Yeah, if you have not joined Insiders, it's just your email. And
okay, we have another question here from Uterus Art. It says, "Is it a viable strategy to have educational videos in long form and entertainment videos as shorts? Niche is the same, but the audience is probably different." I would say you need to be careful. I think shorts can work together, long form and short form on the same channel, but if it's bringing a different audience, I've just seen it be a little problematic. And I don't want to say it doesn't work, because there are people who in some of our videos on the comments will say it's working for me. So I don't want to say that it's not working totally, but I've also seen it personally and otherwise where people will post shorts, kind of that entertainment style, and it does just totally garner an entire new audience. And that audience just doesn't watch your long form videos. And I think where the issue really lies here, and YouTube says that they're treating shorts and long form differently, and I do think that they are trying to, but the problem is, so for, let's say we have 1,000 subscribers on a channel, and 900 of those came from entertainment shorts, and then 100 of those subscribers came from educational long form. Well, it's probably most likely that when you post an educational long form video, that less than 100 people are going to watch it from your subscribed audience. Maybe 20, maybe less than that, honestly, because not every person will watch every video. Well, if you had 1,000 long form educational subscribers, maybe you could get like 200 of those people watching your videos instead of 20. You kind of see what I'm saying here. So with the 20, it to YouTube shows like, okay, a very small percentage of their subscribed audience is interested in this topic. And it's been said by YouTube many times that they initially test your videos with your active audience. And so if your active audience is a little bit of educational long form audience and a lot of entertainment short audience, YouTube is going to be testing that with some of them. And it's just possible that it could look to the YouTube algorithm like, okay, very few people are interested in this, we probably are not going to push it as far. I've seen that happen. I don't know if that's how it happens in every single case. I don't know if YouTube is totally pushing your long form videos to your shorts audience. I think ideally they wouldn't, and wouldn't count those short subscribers, but I just don't think that it's totally all ironed out yet.
Yeah, and art, the example you gave, I think is like one of the most risky ones you could do this with, because art is fun to watch. I don't do art at all, but I know if I see a short and they're mixing colors and it's all pretty and satisfying and it's lovely, you're going to get so many people that don't care about art, and that I think really could confuse the algorithm. If you had a niche that's like really specific or maybe boring to people that aren't really in it, then I think it's a lot safer, because it's unlikely that the people watching are going to not be interested in the long form.
Yeah.
Basically what you said, but I think that's, for anyone else with the same question, a good kind of way to gauge the safety of it.
Yeah,
but it's a little risky.
Just a quick note here. Worst Workshop says Answer in Progress has mastered storytelling education videos. I'm actually not familiar with that channel, but I have watched some of Worst Workshop's videos. Also does a very good job of storytelling. I think some of the most popular videos on that channel had some really good storytelling. So just a note for storytelling there.
Yeah.
Wheelbite says just got done with an 8-hour total editing session. Whoop, whoop.
Nice.
Well done. That's a lot of editing.
Yeah, good job.
I have to break it up. I can't handle editing that long. But very cool. Alexander says from Russia with love, from the US with love back. Alexander, thanks for being here. All right. Another question. How do you guys like it being in front of camera? Do you get nervous? You can start.
No, I wouldn't say nervous anymore, but sometimes the energy is hard. Sometimes I'm just not feeling it and stumbling over my words, and then it gets frustrating, or not having the energy level that I would like to have.
Yeah.
So I get a little nervous about live streams. Maybe not during them, but like about showing up. It's like feels like catching an airplane or something. I don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't say that I get totally nervous, but there's definitely some adrenaline pumping, especially I think with lives. It's just it's a little bit of pressure, especially to get the technology to work. Like this morning, I think we thought we were streaming for about 5 minutes before we were actually streaming. So, it's just little things like that. I think it's something though that you just get a little more confident as you go. And there's definitely still a lot of things that I feel like I can improve on. But as far as nerves go, it's less than it used to be. Do I like being on camera? I wouldn't say it's my natural state by any means. I don't know if I would consider myself like looking for a ton of attention on camera, but it's something that I like the creative process. I like getting in front of a camera enough that I like to get into the edit so that I can create some sort of a story. And I think that that's the really cool part for me.
Yeah. I've found that the best way to get out of my head on the camera is to think about the information I'm sharing and just get excited about it. Like if I'm not feeling excited when I'm about to turn on the camera, going over the outline again, and not just the bullet points or the factual aspects of it, but thinking about how cool it is and how much it'll help the audience, and just kind of get in that state of almost like you're about to call a friend and you're excited to tell them something that happened or tell them about a sale. I don't know. Whatever you'd be excited to tell a friend about, that really helps me to get out of my own head, I think.
Yeah.
And enjoy the process. So we just did a 30-day challenge. Some of you probably saw that video of being on camera every day for 30 days. And we missed some days, but made up for it most of the time. But I think that's a really good way to calm your nerves if you're having trouble.
Yeah, the 30-day challenge was definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
But I think it did help me feel a lot more comfortable on camera. I don't know if it helped my excitement or my presentation skills, but it definitely there were times where I would record at 10 or 11 at night, and I had forgotten throughout the rest of the day, and so I was just laying on the couch talking to the camera because I knew I had to participate in the challenge. And so I was just recording in situations that I wouldn't have otherwise recorded in, and so that really helped me a lot. So I would highly recommend doing something like that if you guys could.
Yeah. Another tip I heard a while ago that I think is really interesting was just to almost think of it as acting the way you want to be more. So if you don't feel comfortable, think about how would somebody act if they were comfortable. I noticed that I used to talk really, really quickly, and my moves would be kind of jittery. But I know that if I was comfortable and I was talking to Nathan and another person across from us, I would move more slowly. So then I'm almost acting in that way. You know, I'm moving more slowly and eventually it becomes natural and you don't have to think about it anymore. But I like that suggestion. I think that helped me a lot.
Just a quick comment from Open Air Outdoors. They say, my shorts are clips of my long form videos and for the most part has been working well for me. I think that's a good strategy if you're going to put shorts on the same channel. Definitely make them very closely related to your long form. Getting viral shorts is cool, but like it may be fun, you know, a little bit of adrenaline there. But if the goal is long form content, long form monetization, definitely gear your shorts toward the long form. Even if they only get a couple hundred views instead of 10,000 or 20,000, those couple hundred views, the reason why it's getting fewer views is it appeals to less people. There may be less interest in the topic, or maybe it's not as choppy or, you know, high energy as a normal, like, kind of viral short would be. But those people that do watch, those fewer people that do watch, will be more likely to watch your long content.
Yeah.
So love the strategy. Very cool.
Good questions, guys.
Yeah,
These are all,
you guys are awesome.
I like how they're kind of specific and strategic. It's fun.
Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, any strategies on 18 plus channels getting seen? I feel like we get hidden by the algorithms sometimes. I would say for that type of channel where you're appealing to an adult audience, you're just gonna I think you're always gonna struggle with that. Here's the problem. The way that YouTube makes money is through display ads. And a lot of advertisers do not want to associate with a lot of adult topics. And so YouTube is not incentivized to push your content. Obviously, there's a lot of people out there who would probably be interested in your content. But the problem is your channel and YouTube are on slightly different pages. Maybe there is an audience out there that could connect with your content. But for YouTube, they're like, well, we're not making a lot of money off their content. Half their videos are demonetized or don't qualify for monetization at all. And so YouTube is probably going to be less incentivized to push your content. What I think a lot of people end up doing is they'll do maybe more toned down videos on the YouTube platform, and then they'll go to some other maybe like membership, kind of like a paid platform for their, I guess, more adult videos. I don't know, that's fine. You're going to be more in line with YouTube at that point. So you might just have to kind of tone it back a little bit. I know that's hard because that's kind of changing the content you're doing potentially. But that's kind of, I think, kind of what it is. Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to YouTube's motives with this. I think they kind of like to blame it all on the advertisers, which that's probably the biggest factor. It's where the money's at most directly. But I've also heard about YouTube really wanting a positive experience for their viewers. And I think other social platforms have kind of shot themselves in the foot because they have these algorithms that are so hyper trained to trigger our addictive behavior. And like even with Facebook, they say that you're more likely to see something about your ex because it's more likely to make you come back. But in the long term, if you feel negatively after visiting a platform, you're going to eventually probably quit entirely. So like if you had really violent content, I mean, some people could probably watch that and feel fine, but a lot of people are going to watch that and eventually not want to watch that anymore. Also, when they're pushing it to other people, they have to consider that they don't want to scare people away that don't want to see that stuff. And so it's tricky, and I think they have a lot of reasons they have so many options, so many people making other kinds of content. Yeah. They have a lot of reasons to just kind of not mess with it. So it's tough. But yeah, I think what you said is good advice.
Yeah, good question. Mayor says, I always keep confusing in educational videos or vlog plus educational videos. Can I infuse vlog with search term education? I think you can, but you have to think of it as sort of a split. I would say you definitely need to have a strategy going into it because you have to remember why people are searching questions. It's because they want a quick answer. If I'm looking up how to install a solar panel or whatever, I don't want to see you like getting out of bed and making coffee and watching, watching your favorite TV show for the first minute and a half of the video.
Unlikely, unless you were like homesteading or something and did a
Right.
your whole channel is like that. But yeah.
Right.
If it's installation tips, nope.
Right. The vlog style works really well for a dedicated audience who really likes you. And so if you're, but on the other hand, a search audience, they don't really care about you at all. They care about the video topic more. So vlog content, they care more about you, less about the topic. Education, they care less about you, more about the topic. So there's a little bit of a competing, competition there between the two. So if you're going to infuse some vlog or what we could call like connection style content, you're going to want to do it really carefully. You would probably want to lead with the really helpful information that people came for initially, and then maybe share some of the vlog, or more creative shots, the more connection shots, maybe throughout or closer to the end. Because you could definitely take some of those people who came for the education and they could end up really liking you. But the majority of people will come, get the information, and then leave. I think about the channel in the car space. It's a big car repair channel. It's called Scotty Kilmer. He is a character. He does videos talking about car repairs. And he's been on air and media for a very long time, but now he has a YouTube channel and he does car repairs. I have watched his channel to repair my own vehicle, but I often find myself watching other videos of his that have nothing to do with my vehicle. Maybe it's just his opinion about things that are happening in the vehicle industry that have nothing to do with me or my life. I just think he's a character and he's kind of funny. And so for me, it started with him. I wanted information. I went there and got it, but I thought, man, this guy's kind of funny. And then I ended up going back because I ended up going back to him for more repairs for my car, but also just for some more entertainment or connection. So I would just say be really careful, or just execute it carefully, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah, but if you can't have that that community, what word am I looking for? Not communication.
A connection?
Connection, thank you. It's early for me. If you can't add that connection, then yeah, you're going to get more repeat viewers like Nathan if you add it carefully. Cool.
Bondo Billy says, I built my channel on shorts and now it's hard building up the lawns. Yep, that can happen. I think we're going to have a video here probably in the next couple months talking about some thoughts on that. I've experienced something very similar on my personal channel, and I think kind of coming around the corner on that difficulty. So hopefully we'll have a video up on that soon.
Yeah, to encourage you, it may have like hurt your long form, but you also don't know how long it would have taken you to build up your long form without the shorts. I think sometimes it can be a little misleading because in the beginning it's slow anyways.
Right.
So don't necessarily think that it would have been super fast if you hadn't built it up with shorts. You probably don't anyways, but just keep that in mind. Don't get too discouraged. Any tips for the community tab? How often should I post? Do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. I have been seeing a lot more community tab posting than I have, I think, ever before on YouTube. YouTube is making a point of like showing it on the home page, like within the feed. They'll feature a little bar of community tabs. Some that I'm subscribed to, some that I'm not even subscribed to, I've started seeing pop up. And so, typically it's related to other types of content that I like. But I would say try at least for once a week. If you could do more than that, I would say using the community tab is a great way to judge how active your active audience is. Yeah. If you have, let's say, 1,000 subs and you put out a community poll or, some sort of interactive opportunity and you get 3 to 5 people, okay, you have a pretty, I would say, inactive subscriber base, but that's okay. The more you post, the more people see it, the more really helpful content you have there. Leading them, giving them extra help or information or connection, providing that value to them. I think more people will join in and start participating there. But to me, it's a really good gauge to see what that active side of your community looks like.
Yeah, you might start with once a week. I've heard people doing it every day that they aren't posting other content, like a long video or short. We used to worry a bit about like bugging the audience, but I think YouTube has kind of figured out how to navigate the community tab algorithm well enough that that doesn't seem to be a widespread concern anymore. In there, I like to do variety. So think about all the different types of posts. Maybe look at other people in your industry. Think about all the different types of posts you could have, and then that can help you get ideas. So you might just have a list or a few columns in Trello, and you could have like a list for like trivia type questions or like more hypothetical or personal polls. Like if you had $1,000 to spend on your niche, what would you buy? And then you could have some that are a little bit newsy about your topic. You could have some that are newsy about what's going on with you or your brand. So I just like having those different categories, and then it feels like more variety to your audience, because yesterday you told them about what was going on with your brand. Today you're asking them some hypothetical question, and tomorrow it'll be a poll about the industry. So that can be fun.
Yeah, I think having the variety is really important so that it just doesn't feel stale. And stale for the viewer, but also stale for you. Like if you're going to be putting out a lot of community posts, you want to make sure that you feel like they're actually helpful and fun to do. So definitely make sure that they're interesting for both you and the viewer. If it's not something that you would stop and read, it's probably not something your viewer would stop and read.
Yeah. Oh, podcasting. This one's hard. So the Dead Cylinders says, thoughts on adding a podcast to a main channel. Traditionally, creators would have a main channel and a podcast channel. Is this still necessary now that YouTube has been implementing the podcast tab?
Tough question. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I almost think it's too soon to know. I would say long term, I think just whatever way YouTube wants you to do it is almost better for almost anything, because they kind of have the power.
Right.
So I think using the podcast tab is probably best long term. Will there be a learning curve with YouTube and the algorithm? Maybe. It's hard to grow podcasts on YouTube anyways. So if you have a really strong main channel, I would say, yeah, go for it with the podcast tab. If the brands feel different at all to you, then probably a separate channel.
Yeah, as far as whether to do a separate channel or not, I kind of feel the same way about talking about shorts.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, YouTube has a dedicated tab for it. They say they're treating it differently. I think they are working toward that for sure. The question is it actually working? You know, a huge element. I mean, essentially the algorithm is the audience. It's like, what does the audience like? How do they feel about the content that they're seeing? And so if the audience isn't quite getting it, if they aren't getting YouTube's vision, then it's going to be hard. That transition could be hard. But we all know that as YouTube makes changes to their, the user interface and that sort of thing, that people start interacting with the content a little bit differently. And so now that they have been breaking it out, and they're definitely making an effort to keep it broken out and that sort of thing, I think you're totally right. I think over time, that's probably the best way. But it's still early to say.
Yeah.
So, good question, though.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Home Rapid Repair says, question, I've unlisted all my shorts for a month to see if I get more impressions on my regular videos. It sounds like they're still watching. It sounds like you're looking to make some sort of pivot here. That's what I would imagine. If you're trying to pivot from short form to long form, I would be very interested to hear how that goes for you. I would imagine that you start seeing some positive results, but we do know that during a pivot, it can take a couple months. And so I know that you said for the past month you've been doing this. It could take a little longer than that. So I would say, I don't know, give it at least 2 to 3 months, even if in the first month or so you're not seeing much movement. It's going to take some time for YouTube to reevaluate what your channel is and what it looks like.
Yeah. All right. What advice would you give to someone that makes food content but does reviews of restaurants, snacks, drinks, and breakfast places? I do that on my YouTube channel. What do you think?
Well, I would say that this is probably a pretty widely interesting channel to a lot of people. Food content, I think, is generally interesting to a lot of people. I would say shoot for some connection, like try and connect with your audience in this type of channel, or like entertainment. Go for the entertainment side of things. When I think of a channel like this, like a restaurant review, I would be less likely to watch someone sitting at a desk talking about their review of a restaurant in comparison to them like getting the food, eating it on camera, giving me their initial reviews. Maybe like you take the restaurant food that you ordered and then you like try to make it yourself or something like that. Like do little challenges or trying to figure out what ingredients are in the restaurant food, that sort of thing. I would say try and make it like more interesting and engaging. You're going to be more likely to get a wider audience that way. If you do just want to do kind of the sit at a desk type of review, I think there's probably still a place for that. If I was going to, McDonald's review. Search wise, I don't know how many people are looking up reviews of McDonald's, so I probably wouldn't focus on search traffic in this case specifically. So I would definitely try and get some fun videos out of it. That's really my only advice there.
Yeah, I'm curious. When I first read the question, I was imagining that you were saying you were doing food content and like some kind of food, maybe making food or something, and these reviews. But now I'm starting to think, no, you probably just meant this is the type of food content. If you do think there's a lot of variety, though, in your content, then, and you're set on doing that, you probably want to lean into the connection, lean into your personality, and keep a close eye on how many of your subscribers are watching most of the videos.
Yeah.
Your baseline views, so that you know if your audience is getting kind of fragmented or if everyone likes all of the videos. And if your audience is getting fragmented, maybe try to find a way to keep everyone liking everything so that you have high subscribability.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Anything else we wanted to cover?
I don't think so. We just wanted to jump on here today and get a chance to say hey to everybody.
Yeah.
We really appreciate all of you jumping on this morning or evening or middle of the night, wherever you are. We just want to connect with you guys, see what's working for you, what's not working for you. If you have any suggestions or thoughts or ideas or questions, feel free to either leave them in the chat here or after this replay posts. You can leave them in the comments there. Hopefully we plan to go live, I think, a little more often. It's a really fun way to hear what you guys are going through. So
yeah, thanks for your feedback, and be letting us know in comments on our videos what you want us to test on the thumbnail beta tester, because we're having fun with that, and we're gonna be showing you guys some more of that soon.
Yep. All right, thanks guys, we'll see you later. Good luck with all your channels this week.
Bye.